Hey, and welcome to Crafts with Ash DIY and Decor. My name's Ashley, and today I'm bringing you 5 beautiful religious Easter DIYs that you can do this season. First, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and please give this video a thumbs up because it truly helps my channel to grow. I want to talk to you about this inkless printer that I received from Mban. I was so anxious to try this out. I do not actually own a printer, so when they reached out to me, I was so excited to try their product. Look how slim it is. I love that it's pink, my favorite color, and Mban has a variety of different printers, stickers. I actually have a label maker from them that I featured in a video a few years ago. If you own a business and have shipping labels, then this is definitely a place that you can shop to get all of your shipping needs. Thank you so much to Mban for sponsoring today's video, but now I'm going to show you how it works. Here is the printer on my craft desk, and as you can see, it comes with rolled paper on the inside. This was so easy to use. I connected it to my computer using the USB cord that comes with it. After following the directions and downloading the plugin that is needed, I was able to pick an image on Google for free, and we're going to print it out. So for my first DIY, I did need the sheet music to Lamb of God, and look at this printer. Look how crisp it is. It came out really nice. This footage does not do it justice. I know it's a little grainy, but I absolutely love this printer. It's so sleek, and I don't really have a lot of room for a big bulky printer. So this is perfect, and you can take it on the go if you need to do some work, and look, you just rip it right off. So next, I also printed a graphic of a sheep. I was really interested to see all of the detail work and see if it would print nicely, and it definitely did. I ended up not using the sheep in my DIY, but look how nice this printed. I absolutely love this printer, and I'm so excited to make even more DIYs with it. Thank you again to Mban for sending me this inkless printer. All right, so for the first DIY, we are going to use our Lamb of God sheet music. So I had this cutting board from a few years ago, and I am just taking a little tool to go ahead and take off those little pins, I guess, that were in there. So after I sanded it down a little bit, I did go ahead and give this middle part 3 coats of white Waverly chalk paint because I really wanted to make sure that that the wording was completely covered. Once that was dry, I took my sheet music and just placed it over the big square in the middle, and I'm trying to line everything up, and then I just took my fingernail and just kind of made an indent around so I knew where to cut my sheet music. Next, I just simply cut out around my indent, and then I'm going to take some Mod Podge and put a nice even coat over the inside of the square. Now you do want to make sure to get the corners and the edges. That way the sheet music is glued down all the way. After that, I just placed my sheet music in the middle and lined it up and just used my hands to softly push out any bubbles or wrinkles. Now, the paper that this printer uses is kind of the same thing as calendar paper, so this did wrinkle. However, I kind of liked it because, as you're gonna see, all of my DIYs today are gonna have that rustic look, so this just added right to it. So I tried to sand off the excess that was hanging over, but it was actually scratching my paper. So I just carefully used a knife and just cut off all of the excess paper that was hanging over. And I just kind of cleaned up the edges a little bit. Next, to give it even more of that rustic look, I just took a baby wipe and dipped it in some Waverly Antique Wax. And as you can see, I dabbed it off on my mat first so it wasn't so dark. And I did start a little light, but then you're going to see that I darken it up. Then I decided that I kind of wanted this to look antique-y and like it was old. So I just used my baby wipe to lightly go over the surface of my sheet music, and I really love how this came out. It's very simple, but it's so pretty. This would be a great layering piece, so hold on to the end to see the final look. So I just went around the edges, and I specifically paid attention to the corners. I went a little darker, and you're gonna see that I get a little bit more heavy-handed going around the perimeter of this square. Next, I'm going to put the tacks back in, but I wanted to go ahead and cut off the point to it because it was just easier to hot glue these in. So I just used a tool to carefully remove the the sharp part, and then I just hot glued them down in every corner. And I could kind of see where they were before because I could see the circles behind it. So I just used that as a reference. After that, I did take my baby wipe and just go over those because these are silver and they just didn't go. So I just kind of darkened them up a little bit with that antique wax, and I thought that made it look so much better. Now, I had considered putting something in the middle of the sheet music, you know, like an image or building on top of it, but like I said, I think I just wanted this to be simple, and that way you can really enjoy seeing the sheet music. So, of course, it's a Lamb of God sheet music, so I went ahead and put some lamb's ear at the top, and now I'm going to make a very simple bow. I am not a good bow maker. If you notice, I don't put bows on a lot of my things because I am just not good at it. So, I am not going to really teach you what I did. The only thing I did was make, just get some ribbon and make an awareness ribbon shape, and then just take my twine, scrunch it in the middle, and tie it really tight. That is the only bow I know how to make. I am just not a good bow maker. But after my bow was made, I cut down the tails, cut off the excess twine, and hot glued the bow to the middle of my lamb's ear. And that was it to this project. I love it. Like I said, it's a great layering piece, but stay tuned to the end to see a better look. Ooh, look how pretty that is. Don't forget to check out my other channel, Life with Ash. This channel is a more behind the scenes vlog style channel filled with mama life, mama hacks, cleaning, organizing, hauls, shopping, decluttering, decorating, and even more fun. That channel is all about real life. My hair is always in a messy bun. I live in leggings. I rarely ever wear makeup, and I'm just trying to get through this thing called life. So if you can relate to any of that, jump down to the description box below and click the link to my other channel, Life with Ash, and come hang out with me over there. For my next DIY, I'm going to take this little sign that I got from the Dollar Tree at some point, and I'm going to go ahead and give this 2 really good coats of Waverly chalk paint in white. Now, I am going to cover it with the scrapbook paper, but I just wanted to make sure that you could not see the writing underneath. So all I'm going to do is trace my square on my paper and then just simply cut it out. Very easy. Next, I'm going to take my Mod Podge, and as you can see, I poured a little bit too much out. I just wanted to keep that in there. I thought it was funny, but totally a me thing to do. And I am just going to cover my sign with an even, kind of thicker coat of Mod Podge because this scrapbook paper would be considered a little heavier. And so you want kind of a thicker coat. That way it adheres properly. So then after my Mod Podge was put on, I went ahead and put my scrap paper down. And again, you do want to make sure that when you Mod Podge, you put it around the edges and the corners. Now, to get the excess paper off, I'm going to use my sanding block and sand in a downward direction. Now, when I was doing this, it was actually kind of sanding some of the paper off in the front, and I kind of liked that because, again, I was going for that rustic look. So after I got all the excess paper off, I went over the top part, you know, like on top of the paper, and look, it kind of revealed the white paper underneath. All right, now this little wreath actually came off of a sign from the Dollar Tree, and so I'm just taking my white paint and just kind of dabbing it all over so it's not so stark green. Next, I'm going to take 2 mini popsicle sticks and I'm going to cut the rounded parts off of both. We're going to go ahead and make a cross. So of course you want one to be longer and then one to be a little shorter. But you do want to make sure that your longer one is the width of that wreath there. So I had to measure it and then cut. And then, like I said, I'm going to take that other stick and I'm going to cut that down. Now, as you can see, some of these sticks are thicker than others. So like this one cut perfectly fine, but the one before gave me a lot of trouble. So I ended up breaking it off, but I kind of liked the, ragged edges that it left. So then I hot glued the 2 pieces together and I'm going to take my baby wipe again with the Waverly Antique Wax and I'm going to faux stain my cross. And I love faux staining things. I just think it makes things so rustic. So next I had this white ribbon. You can use purple if you have it. I just didn't. I know that purple is very big too. But I went ahead and draped my ribbon over because I know that there's a name of it. My Catholic education is failing me right now. I know that there's a name for the drape over the cross. If you know it, please comment. But the easiest way I found to do it was to hot glue it down in the front and then twist it and take it to the back and hot glue it to the back of the cross. And so I did that on both sides. Now for the second side, I kind of hot glued it like kind of at an angle and I really liked that, so I decided to go ahead and do that again on the other side because I really liked the way that looked. So I just pulled it off and redid it. And then of course you want to trim your ribbon down so that way it fits on your wreath. Real quick, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to my YouTube channel. Like I said earlier, my name's Ashley, and if you love all things home decor and DIY, this is the place for you. So if you're loving what you see so far, please give this video a thumbs up because it truly does help my channel to grow and get my video out there. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Once my cross is ready, I went ahead and hot glued my wreath to the middle of my sign, and then I just took my cross and hot glued that to the middle of the wreath, and that was it. I made this super cute little shelf sitter, and I think this could actually be all year round. Doesn't necessarily, I don't think needs to be just for Easter. Oh, I forgot, I did take that baby wipe again and go around the edges. Now if you don't like that rustic look, you don't have to do that. All of this stuff is totally optional. You do not have to add, the brown on there. So you can just tailor all of these DIYs to how you like it. I am just here to give you ideas and inspiration, and I hope that you've been enjoying them so far. So after that, this DIY is done. All right, next we're going to make a really cool one. So I had this sign for years, and I was just showing you that there was something on the bottom. I think it was like a metal piece or something, and I had taken it off for another DIY. But I went ahead and gave this 2 coats of white chalk paint, and I'm only painting the top. I'm leaving the wood on the bottom as is. Next, I'm going to take my pen, and you're probably going to know where this is going, and I'm going to kind of make a squiggly opening. I don't know how you can see what I'm doing, just like a weird shape there, and it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, see, I just redid it because I wanted it to be a little bigger. And now we're going to make a fun little concoction here. I took some sand and put it in a cup, and then I'm going to take my elephant gray paint and I'm going to put just a good amount in the cup as well, and then I'm going to take my paintbrush and mix it all together. You want it to be the consistency of like cement. That's kind of what we're going for. Then I decided to add a little brown to my mixture, and I really loved the way that this color came out. It really did look rocky. So like I said, you probably know where this is going. So I took my paintbrush, and at first I started painting it on, but then in a little bit, you're going to see that I started dabbing it. I painted everything except for inside that little thing that I drew. I really don't know how to explain that, but you know, the opening. And you know, if you haven't caught on by now, we're making the empty tomb. And I do like how this came out. I don't know, you're gonna have to let me know what you think. I mean, this was a lot of fun to make too, but so here's where I just go and now I start dabbing to get even more of that sandy look, or kind of rocky look. So I then realized that I needed to do the edge as well. So do not forget to go around and paint your edges. You want this whole thing to be, you know, concrete, or look like it's concrete. Look at that texture. Isn't that so cool? Next, I'm going to take some black paint and I'm going to paint the inside of that opening. And I'm careful not to get any on the gray part. So I'm going to outline it first and then I'm going to go through and paint the inside of it. Now to add dimension to my rocks, I'm going to just kind of dab some black paint all over the gray part. And this is just to kind of mix it up a little bit, add some dimension like I said, and just kind of make it look more natural and rocky and tomb-like, I guess. Next, I'm going to take this little wooden disc and I am going to paint this with that mixture as well. Now, you can use any circle that you have. You know, it could just be wood. It could be really anything, cardboard. This is just what I had on hand, so this is just what I decided to use. So once this was completely covered, I went ahead and hot glued it down on my tomb, but of course off to the side to make it look like the rock was moved. Then I'm going to take that black paintbrush and just dab over just to make it kind of blend in with the other rock behind it. Next, I'm going to take some brown paint and I'm just going to dab it in just very random places, kind of more on the edge, and just dab it, you know, wherever I feel like it would look good. We're going to make another cross and we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. We are going to switch it up just a little bit though. So, you know, you want to cut your sticks down, one long, one short, and then you're going to glue it together and use the Waverly Antique Wax as faux stain. So yes, you are going to repeat that process, but you're going to see that I actually started with one, but I do go back and add two more to be the 3 crosses on the hill because I just felt like it looked better like that. And you'll see what I mean after, or in a little bit when I glue this one on. So I'm just going to go ahead and faux stain this one as well. And what we're going to do different to this one is we're actually going to put some twine around it. So you're going to start in the back and hot glue your twine. Then you're just going to wrap it diagonally. What I did was go twice for each angle. So I went diagonal, diagonal, and then switched directions, diagonal, diagonal, and then I did one more on each side. There, I was trying to figure it out. I kind of confused myself. So then I just went ahead and hot glued it in the back and just cut off the excess, and that's it. And I did all 3 of my crosses just like that. So now I'm going to hot glue it to the side of my tomb. And good thing I did that because it made it easy for me to put the other 2 on. Now, I cut this out for my Cricut, but of course you can use stickers, stencils, anything you have. And I just cut out "He is Risen." And when I was kind of researching religious Easter, this is definitely the theme that I saw, that He is risen. And so I definitely wanted to include that on to my sign. I just love this so far. I think it's different. It's really neat. So then I'm going to take my baby wipe again with some Waverly Antique Wax, and I am just going to go around the bottom part of my sign, or the wooden part of my sign, go all around it. And at first I did start off light, and then I kind of got a little darker. Again, if you don't like that look, you can just skip this part. And then here's where I decided that it would probably look better if I did all 3. Doesn't that look, it just looks more proportional. I felt like it was unbalanced. So of course you want to put the one in the middle a little higher, and then the 2 on the sides can be the same height. And after my crosses were on, that was it. That completed my tomb, or empty tomb DIY, and I am very curious to see or hear what you guys think about it. Now, this next DIY I actually did a few years ago, but I wanted to include it because it was perfect for this video. For this next dupe, you're going to need this wood cutout of the cross. The first thing I did was cut off the twine hanger, and then I gave this a rough coat of Waverly chalk paint in white by using my chippy brush. Clearly, I was not going for full coverage here, so I did a little more than dry brushing. I wanted the majority of it to be covered, but it was okay if it wasn't completely covered. Once the white paint was dry, I took that Waverly antique wax and a different paintbrush, and I painted over the cross. Then I dried that as well. After that was dry, I went back to my chippy brush with my white paint and gave it one more coat. Then I sanded the whole thing down. Next, I grabbed 16 tumbling tower blocks that I got from the Dollar Tree and gave these a rough coat of the white Waverly chalk paint. Now, I made sure to cover all of the edges and the sides, but you don't need to cover one of the thinner long sides. After my tumbling tower blocks were dry, I took them and I lined them up on the cross going up and down instead of laying them flat. So I put them on their sides. Then once I arranged them how I liked it, I went ahead and hot glued them down. Now here's a tip. I would start off by hot gluing the ends down first, because as you're gonna see, I hot glued the sides down and then I had to take it off so it would line up with the ends. But the first thing I did was take 3 of the blocks and hot glue them together, and then I took another 3 blocks and hot glued those together. Then I hot glued those down to the side. But like I said, I would hot glue the end first. After all my blacks were glued down, I took that paintbrush with that Waverly Antique Wax and I dry brushed over the white paint. Now the reason why I didn't do this before was because I thought it might have been hard to get in all the crevices, so that's why I just kind of give it a base coat of the white paint and then waited to do this part at the end. So then I went between the white paint and the Waverly Antique Wax until I got the look that I wanted. I also hit all the sides as well. I made sure to sand it all down so it all blended in. For our last DIY, I am starting off with this cloche, and I'm going to remove all of the tape, and why, oh why, do they insist on putting the sticker right on the clear plastic part? I mean, luckily it came off easily, but why can we not put it on the bottom maybe? Why put it on there? Anyways, then I took my Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to give the base a nice coat of that. Then I did decide that I actually wanted to put this on like a riser, so I'm going to use this candlestick, and I am going to give this a really good coat of Waverly chalk paint as well. That way they both match. Once both pieces were dry, I am going to go ahead and hot glue my base on top of the candlestick. Now you can use stronger glue. I use Gorilla glue sticks, and I think that these work perfectly. They're very strong. All right, so after that, we're going to take some Waverly antique wax and a paintbrush, and we're going to lightly brush it on, or you could go dark. It's totally a matter of preference for you, however you like it. Or again, if you don't like that rustic look, you don't have to do this part at all. But I just kind of focused on, the details of this candlestick. You'll see it better here in just a minute, but I did also go around that base as well. See there, so you could see that detail, the raised glass coming through. Next, I'm going to take this bag of moss, and I am just going to hot glue that moss all over my base, so that way I am covering the black part of my base. We're going to make a cute little display for this cloche. Now I did make sure that this was packed tight, and I was pushing it down as you go, because obviously you have to make sure that the top of the cloche is going to, fit around it. So I just made sure that not a lot of the pieces got, hung over the edge, but I do take my scissors and just kind of trim around it if there was some hanging over, because again, you don't want the cloche to not be able to fit. Next, I grab this stick just straight from my backyard, and I am going to turn this into a cross. So I am just kind of breaking off the pieces, kind of just deciding, my heights and the pieces that I want to use. And for the long piece, I did measure it to the cloche. I, wanted to make sure that it wasn't too tall. So I'm just kind of figuring out, what I need to do. See it. So yeah, see, as you can see, I'm kind of going back and forth and making sure that it's going to fit. Also, and I did not even think about this, you want to make sure that the width is not too long either. Luckily mine wasn't, and I didn't think about that until I put the cloche on, but just, kind of keep that in mind too. So once you have both of your pieces ready, you're going to hot glue them together and create your cross. And then we're going to do the same thing with the twine, and we're going to wrap it around. Now, I did not wrap mine around as many times as I did for that first cross because I wanted it to be a little thinner since the stick was thinner. So I did not do it too much, but I just wanted that little, rustic detail on there. Plus, it helped keep these two pieces together. Next, I'm going to take my cross and put a generous amount of hot glue and just glue it down. Now, this you kind of have to play with a little bit. I did have to hold it, add more glue, kind of build up around it, but eventually I got it to stick. So now this is just where your creativity comes in. I decided to put some flowers here, and I just hot glued them down, and then I'm going to go in with a little piece of baby's breath in a minute. But I just wanted to create a really springy kind of floral display in here. But again, this one could really be used all year round as well. So a lot of these could, you could get longer use out of them. So there's the little sprig of baby's breath, and I'm just going to tuck that in, and just wait till you see the final product. It is so pretty. I love it. I don't even think I glued these in. Maybe they just stuck. I don't know. I guess. All right, so to the cloche, I actually got this idea from Gleespin Designs, and she kind of created her own finial for the top of her cloche. So I'm just doing the same thing. I'm going to take a big bead and a small bead and hot glue the small bead on top of the big bead, and then just simply paint it white. Now, I did take my hot glue gun and fill in the hole on top. I let it sit there for a few seconds, and once I felt like it was cool enough, I just wiped it off with my finger to just kind of make it, even. And then I'm going to paint the rest of it with my white chalk paint. Next, I'm going to take my baby wipe with the Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm just going to lightly brush it on so this way it matches the rest of my cloche. Then I'm simply going to take my little fake finial here and hot glue it to the top. And that's it. All you have to do is stick the top onto your little display, and that's it. And I thought it came out so beautiful. So now that our last DIY is done, it's now time for the final reveal.
There can't be no light if darkness don't exist. He never left my side. He showed me the way out of all the storms raging at the sea. He gave me back my life. I owe him everything. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord forever. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord always. He carried me to shore, held me through the pain. He loved me at my worst. I thank him every day. I will put him first, 'cause he did that for me. He sacrificed himself so I could find my peace. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice in the name of the Lord forever and always. I rejoice, rejoice.
I love how each one of these DIYs came out today. I just think they're so pretty. I know my grandma will really love any of these, and I just can't wait to put them up in my home for Easter. And you're going to have to let me know what you think about these. I'm anxious to hear your thoughts. Thank you again to Mban for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to check out the description box below so you can get your inkless printer, because let me tell you, I absolutely love mine. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to do all the YouTube-y things like subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on those notifications. Also, remember, I have a second channel, so check the description box for the link to that, because I know you'll love the behind-the-scenes content that I put out. Plus, that's where I do a lot of my decorating in my home, so you can watch me make the DIYs on this channel and then see how I style them on my other channel. So definitely check out my Life with Ash link down below. Well, thank you so much again for joining me, and until I see you again, I'll craft with you soon. Bye!
Can't be no light if darkness don't